Who am I? Big questions. And I thought, I got to get inside this somehow. I have to understand this in my body. Now, the set for that play was very simple, bare stage, very little costuming. And on the stage there was a riser, and in that riser there was a coffin built into the stage that could come out. And the coffin would stand in his Claudius's throne, and it would also be the coffin for the gravedigger with Yorick's skull. And I thought, I'm really afraid of death. I was afraid of death then, I'm afraid of death now, and I'm sure that will continue right up until the last breath. But I wanted to confront that. I wanted to understand what's he struggling with. So I snuck into the theater one night with a little pocket watch that my grandfather had given me. And I snuck up onto the stage, and I lifted the lid of the coffin, and I got inside, and I closed the lid, and I put the watch beside my ear. Tick, 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 thump, 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 thump. This little watch on my heart just filling this coffin. And as I was lying there through the night, I had two really meaningful realizations for myself. One, that tick, 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 that beat, 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 that drum beat, that marching army would end in silence. And I would end in a box. And the second realization that became very physically obvious in that moment is that box is built for one. There would be no room for all the expectations of all the people that had looked at me in a certain way, that had ideas for my life. My life would fit in there. And I decided in that moment that I was going to live a life of risk and heartbreak and adventure and glory and failure, and it was going to be mine. And I popped out of that coffin, and I did Hamlet, and I decided I want to be an actor. And what does an actor do? I had no idea, but I'm going to immerse myself. I'm going to become an actor. So my Danielle and I, we packed a little tiny suitcase. We hopped on a train. We went to New York City. Because if you want to be an actor, you go to New York City. In my mind, that's what I knew. I didn't know much, but I knew acting was happening there. So I get into this amazing school, Circle in the Square Theater School on Broadway. School, Benicio del Toro went there, Philip Seymour Hoffman, amazing curriculum. It's a real balance between classical acting and some of the techniques of the method. Now, the method is very misunderstood. The method is just really a way of becoming the character and the circumstances so truthfully that you live and experience the character that the author has created. It's a wonderful gift to give yourself in service of the words, the idea of someone else, to literally become someone new because an author imagined it. So that was my life, learning to act, role to role, becoming someone new every time, which was exciting for me, probably really frustrating for my wife and kids. But that was it. You move beyond. Each time there'd be a new author and a new character and a new me, and then in between those moments there'd be this emptiness. Because I was living a creative life, but I wasn't creating my life, and I was stepping forward in the dark, in that tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow out there into a future that I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what shape I should take. That happened for the next couple of decades. There was highs, there was lows, good times and bad. And then one character appeared on the horizon right about the time I was turning 40, and I was having a big who am I moment. And there was a character named Jeremy Danvers in a series that was going to become Bitten, based on a very successful series of novels by a woman named Kelly Armstrong. And I wanted this character. He was the pack alpha of a family of werewolves, but he was, in my mind's eye, the way he was written, he was the perfect embodiment of masculinity. He was strong and decisive, but he was also vulnerable, and he could compromise and he could listen. And I wanted that part, and I got that part. And then I looked at myself in the mirror and I realized I don't measure up. The who am I is not worthy for that character. So I went to work on myself. I mean, beside the obvious, grow your hair, grow your beard, learn to throw an axe. I worked with a therapist who specialized in male energy and anger to deal with issues in myself. I learned to ground myself. I meditated. I reinvested myself into my marriage, into my kids. I studied Krav Maga. I boxed. I realized that this character was a great mentor, so I started to volunteer with at-risk young men in the inner city of Toronto, teaching them acting. In the pursuit of this vision that this author had, I changed, and I became someone better. I became someone fuller, and my life was fuller for the experience. And then, of course, like all shows, it ended. And I felt slightly lost. Who am I? I had no answer. I still had characteristics of this character that I so loved, but I didn't have the form to live him in. And then I had this thought, I've been an actor for so long, I'm in and out of characters in the service of the author. The words are on the page, that's my guidepost. I do everything I have to do to become that person. I become that person through the actions I take, the repeated actions. You practice them and practice them and practice them until you are them. And I'd been gifted in my lost moments with the great, great teachings of Tony Robbins and Jack Canfield and Jim Rohn and lists and visualization and intention and all of those tools. And I just needed to bring them together in some great artistic venture because that's my bent. I realized, well, why can't I just write the life I want to lead and decide what character would have to be the hero of that story and then just go become that? And I closed my eyes and I started to think, what would my dream life look like? What would the adventure that I would want to lead look like? And who is the guy to live that life? I started doing it. I started doing that. It was the most amazing artistic endeavor of my life, writing me and then becoming me. Write the part and then act like a method actor and become it. And you have this amazing choice. You have this amazing ability to be an artist and to be a creator. And that doesn't mean you have to be an actor. That doesn't mean you have to go into a life of the arts. It means you have to create your life and empower yourself. Because I'm going to tell you something. That tick, tick, tick of the clock and this thump, thump, thump of your heart is now, 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 now. And it will end. So today I want you to go home and I want you to get in front of a mirror and get real still and very quiet and close your eyes and drown out all the voices that you've heard growing up that have told you who you should be. And close your eyes and you open your imagination and ask yourself, who do I want to be? And then you go and you get a pen and you start writing down everything that comes to you. Trust your heart, trust your gut, write it down, write it down, write it down. And then once you have this story, these broad strokes, this outline, who is the person that would best serve that hero's journey? And then take active steps to become that person because you have that power. You have that power. And all our stories are going to end in the same place, and it is a wooden box for one. And it would be the greatest tragedy of your life if you did not fill that box with the hero of the greatest adventure that you could imagine. Thank you.